The problem with styling yourself as the woke prince of impregnable perfection is that you're bound to eventually slip up, and a lot of people will thoroughly enjoy it when you do. Take Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the man who, of course, said that the word mankind was offensive and it should be changed to peoplekind. He's a world-leading woke irritant, famous for virtue-signaling gestures like the one I just said. And last week, he hosted Ukraine's President Zelensky at the Canadian Parliament. Some special guests were invited.
We have here in the chamber today Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98. He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
Well, most people with a basic education will be aware that Ukrainian soldiers fighting against Russia during World War II were Nazis. Yaroslav Hunka, who's now aged 98, served in the 14th Waffen SS Division under Nazi command. I've no idea what he did or didn't do during the war, but I do know that he was a Nazi. And as a former Nazi, he probably shouldn't be getting a standing ovation from some of the most powerful people in the country. Hunka was invited by Canada's House Speaker, a member of Trudeau's party, who's now had to resign, leaving his leader, who happens to be one of the smuggest men of world politics, looking, well, rather less smug than usual.
It's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine.
We must push back against Russian propaganda, says the man who's just sent a lifetime supply of gift-wrapped material to Russian propagandists. Russia's disinformation machine has spun the demented lie that Ukraine is now run by Nazis. President Zelensky, of course, is Jewish, making this entire fiasco even more insulting and ridiculous. And it's not the first time we've seen Trudeau grovelling. Pictures infamously emerged of him in blackface. Actually, repeatedly he did that, which came as quite a shock to the many people he spent all these years assuring that he was the nicest, wokest person in the world.
I didn't understand how hurtful this is to people who live with discrimination every single day. I have always acknowledged that I come from a place of privilege, but I now need to acknowledge that that comes with a massive blind spot.
Of course, after that, several more pictures of Trudeau in blackface emerged. He eventually had to admit that he'd done it so many times he couldn't even remember how many times he'd done it. There is one thing, though, which Trudeau will never apologise for.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2+ kids' rights.
Oh, Justin, just stop, man, person, whatever you want to call yourself. If you want to be the most ultra-woke leader in the world, that's fine. Look, I could do that too. Remember the rainbow alphabet? Don't wear blackface. Stop applauding Nazis with standing ovations. It's not that hard. Well, I'm joined now by probably the most famous journalist in the country today, Ava Santina, Talk TV contributor Esther Cracker, and the associate editor of The Mirror, Kevin Maguire. Okay, elephant in the room time. Ava Santina. Well, apart from anything else, I've discovered something today, that Ava Santina is your first name and Evans is your surname.
Yeah.
I don't know quite why we've called you by your gloriously double-barreled first name, as if that's your whole name. But anyway.
I think I've been overly polite and just sort of let it go, yeah.
So now I've been reading all about this journalist called Ava Evans. I thought, who's that?
Yeah.
So, first of all, we're going to start calling you by your proper name.
Yeah.
This has been a really difficult time for you, the last 24 hours. And I was watching all this happen in real time last night with this GB News situation where Laurence Fox, who I think is a repulsive individual at the best of times, decided to personally target you in a really horrible manner, in a sexually degrading manner. And he did it on Dan Wootton's show on GB News. As a result, they've both been suspended by GB News, which is their action. It's nobody else's. People are saying, well, what about cancel culture? Well, they've been cancelled at the moment by their own network, right? So, first of all, how are you?
No, I'm good. You were one of the first big journalists to message me last night, and I really, really appreciated it. I think, the the support has been really, really lovely to see. But, also, this isn't really about me at all. I just so happened to be the person that they picked on that night and he went too far with. I think it wasn't a goal of mine to get them suspended from the programme. But look, I just think that network is out of hand and it really needed a bit of a slap down. And I'm sorry that it's happened the way it has, but I'm glad it's happened.
Dan Wootton, the presenter, who's seen kind of laughing along with it, although he looks a little uncomfortable actually towards the end of it, despite that, he then tweeted you personally, expressing his apologies and regret and wished he hadn't done it, and said he didn't find it amusing. And then Laurence Fox tweeted, revealing their text exchanges, showing that Dan did appear to find it funny. Do you see them in two different categories here, or accomplices to the same problem?
I would say that Dan Wootton facilitated it, and he's an experienced broadcaster, and he should have shut it down. I also think that the people in the gallery should have shut it down. They should have gone above and beyond. But look, I think, last night Dan Wootton did try to call me many, many times, and I didn't take the phone call. And I didn't take the phone call because I thought perhaps the truth will come out the next day, and I'd rather not subject myself to a false apology. And judging by the voicemail he left me and the truth that has come out today, it would have been a false apology.
I think we've got the clip. For those who haven't been following this, it's been gaining more traction through the day. But let's look at actually what was said.
We're past the watershed, so I can say this. Show me a single self-respecting man that would like to climb into bed with that woman, ever. Ever. And she sat there and I'm going like, if I met you in a bar and that was like sentence 3, chances of me just walking away are just huge. We don't need these sort of feminist 4.0. They're pathetic and embarrassing. Who'd want to bag that?
Esther, I can see you literally sort of gawping in horror at what you're watching and hearing there. And it was just incredibly offensive. Look, I think Fox has long ago crossed the Rubicon. I remember first watching him when he was on Question Time. And actually, I quite supported him at the time over what went down on Question Time at the time. But ever since, there's been this descent into just trying to be as appalling as he can possibly be and trying to pretend, it's free speech. Yeah. That is not what protecting free speech should be about. That kind of stuff has no place on any network.
I mean, this individual is mentally unwell. And I think for me, what I find the most disappointing is the fact that Dan didn't shut it down immediately. I mean, when he said, climb into bed with this person, I just thought, excuse me, what? That's not your place. That's completely inappropriate. And as an experienced broadcaster, he should have said, actually, you cannot come on my show and say that. That's how that conversation should have gone. He shouldn't have been allowed to finish that sentence. I mean, that's just horrific. But ultimately, I think what we are seeing here is someone who exists in an echo chamber. We talk about people being in echo chambers on Twitter and on social media, but actually, there's a real threat of being in an echo chamber in your own personal life as well. And that's something that, unfortunately, can happen quite easily in this industry, especially when you wedge yourself amongst people that have one particular view on any issue. And that's what we're seeing manifest today. He's a grown man. He has children. Thank God he doesn't have daughters. But at the end of the day, he should know that that's completely inappropriate.
Kevin, he's shown zero remorse, Laurence Fox. I mean, Dan Wootton, to his credit in this, has shown a lot of remorse. I say to his credit, he shouldn't have done what happened, but he has at least said it was completely wrong, I apologise, and so on. None of that from Laurence Fox. He's just dug down ever deeper and said, no, I absolutely stand by everything I said.
Yeah, but Piers, revolutions devour their own children, and here you've got the culture war warriors falling out because Fox is going to take down Wootton. That's what he's done. And it's interesting. I didn't know you'd received, Ava, a phone message from him all full of contrition, which then he's messaging Fox to somewhere else. Well, no, Fox is violent, and it's what happens when you just get cheered by a small segment of the country. Yeah. Fox can go around, he can get a crowd on Twitter, on TV, but they're the same people, and you just lose touch with reality. You become a really horrible person.
Yeah, I also think what happens is people start to seek ever greater highs. They're like drug addicts.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of diminishing returns. You go down these rabbit holes, you have these wackos following you, and to feed that wacko beast, you have to say ever more outrageous things, and you just lose all sense of decency. Yeah. I mean, what he said last night about Ava was just indecent. Yeah. It was just horrible to listen to. We can all agree on that. If this was said now on this show, there'd be outrage, quite rightly.
I think that our channel has a wider problem, the number of conspiracy theorists and people who are quite frankly nutty. There's almost one channel during the day and another in the evening, when they're all on their dodgy site shouting about the deep state or whatever it is. But,
Ava Santini, to call you, I like your new name I'm giving you. Ava Santini, have you been on the flip side of this? Has it been a nice experience for you to see the huge reaction from journalists across the divide in this country? Male, female. I mean, I've noticed it myself. Just the volume of people racing to support you.
I'm very appreciative of it, but I'm really embarrassed by all of it, actually. I'm not really on my phone very much. And I think, I've never, ever not wanted to do a debate, especially on this programme. I will debate anything and, vociferously, I will do it. But this is now like about my body and about my physical being. And it's just giving me this sort of really icky, horrible feeling that I can't quite explain. Yeah,
I get it. Let's move on to something else. Yeah. Let's get out of this. Let's move on actually to, do you know what? Let's move on to this. Chocolate, one of my favourite subjects. This is a Galaxy bar. It's not as big as it used to be, but it's more expensive. And Mars have now admitted the scam. They've cut the bars and they've upped the price. Are we all as outraged as I am about this?
It's for our health, Piers. It's to keep us nice and healthy. You have a smaller bit of this nice, it's basically a salad, really, because it's coming from a cocoa pod. So it's a salad with a bit of...
I like your thinking. It is a salad.
Exactly, but you can't have too much salad. It's like a decadent salad. So they have to shrink it to keep everything healthy and the NHS functioning.
Do you know, they've also done it with Weetabix, so explain that. What's that about,
Listen.
That's like me striving to be healthy of a morning, and now I'm getting a smaller portion of it.
It's an old con from companies. Look, Mars exists to make lots of money, and here they're going to charge you more for less. It's how capitalism works, but it feels really, really sneaky.
The biggest chocolate story for me is that the dark bounty chocolate, the red ones, have been discontinued temporarily, right? And I they're my favourite thing. So my, the lovely Kerry that you all know, who makes everything happen in my world here, she just had to come in the other day looking really upset and forlorn, like somebody had died. And I said, what's the matter? Who's died? And she said, no, it's the bounty bars have died. I went, what? She said, they're not making them anymore. I was like, this can't be happening. So I've launched a campaign. Emily Maitlis and others have joined in. But on a positive note, celebrations, those big mixed boxes of chocolates, they stopped putting the bounty bars in, the milky ones. And so now, because of an outraged response, they've now come up with a bounty-only box of celebrations. And so I think this is a start, but they're the wrong ones. What we need is a special box of the red ones.
You're never happy, are you?
Well, you know what? I don't ask for much in life. Honestly, I'm easily pleased. Kerry will tell you, I'm easily pleased.
I've never heard of anyone eating a dark bounty.
I get in. All I want is I want about 3 or 4 cups of tea when I get here, as I monitor my notes and prepare for you special guests and so on. And then I want to have a dark red bounty. And currently, I can't because they have been discontinued.
First world problems.
If Mars are watching this, I need them to understand just what this is doing to me. It's actually sending me slightly crackers. So I need to have that. Good to see you all. Ava, I'm very sorry that you went through that.
Thank you.
I really am. You had the full support of all of us here at Talk TV, not just on this show. I think we all, we hugely value your contributions as a journalist and will continue to do so.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry you went through it, but I'm also gratified that most right-minded people in our profession were as outraged as I was and you guys were and everybody else was. So we move on. Good to see you.